Probably not. Welcome to the Canada Guns Talk Show, episode 40. All day AR-15 talk. I'm your host, the Crover. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk ARs. Well, not right now. Right now we're going to talk about what we did last week or in the last 2 weeks. Adrian, what have you been up to?
All right. Let's see. I went out and shot some clays to test out my Stoger. My Stoger's been giving me gave me some issues when it was cold there, and I think it's because I've just not cleaned it for a year. And there was a spring that I had chopped and lengthened the hammer spring, and it was done poorly. I might have had a couple too many wobbly plops when I was doing that gunsmithing. And so I straightened the spring out and I took it out again, and it seems to be working fine. So busted a bunch of clays with it. And what else? I was busting clays with I got a 20 gauge Pardis. That was fun. I don't know if you guys have shot like 20 gauge, but it's very light. There's not really a lot of recoil to it. So even like with target loads, right? And you can really watch it bust clays really easily. And I got out with this guy right here. This is a Browning A5, so it's not their Auto 5. It's kind of like a play on the Auto 5 kind of a thing. It's actually using an inertial system, just like a Benelli that's in this bolt here, and that's what's running it. And it's pretty cool. This is starting to be used by a lot of guys in 3-gun. And let me grab some test shells, and I'll just show you guys why it's popular. One, the loading gate on it is perfect right from the factory. So you see there, see how close it is to the follower. It's nice and tight there, so you're not going to snag your finger in there as you're loading this thing up. It's just not possible. Whereas there's a surprising amount of shotguns out there where the lifter will like snag the fuck out of your finger. Not so much with this guy. Let's grab. Here's the real reason why this is popular with 3-gunners, and it's actually like a really cool feature. I think they got it patented. That's why you don't see it on more stuff. But let's say you've run it to slide lock. You've run it empty. Now, usually with a semi-auto shotgun, you've got to throw a shell in the side and hit your button, and that's how you load it up, right? And then you have to load in through the bottom, right? Not so much with this thing, because it's got this loading where you can actually pop one in the bottom here, and then it loads that first shell. So you think of the 3-gunners out there who are super competitive. You can run a match saver up here. You can get that one pretty quick. What happens if you dump run it dry twice? Like, you're really bad at counting. Oh, that shell is way under. Well, then you're really hooped. So I want to just show you guys with 2 here, because you can actually dual load this thing just fine. Let's get that guy pointed the right way here. And you can actually dual or quad load this thing, pop them in. See, it's still not going forward. Let go, and it loads it right up.
Wow.
So it's a very fast way of loading up a shotgun. Nice and lightweight, nice and trim. Browning usually does like a real trim gun. The only unfortunate part, these things are super expensive, like $1,500, $1,700, right around there. So it's quite expensive for a semi-auto shotgun. But
how available are magazine extensions for it?
I was going to say that, and what about barrel lengths?
26, 28, and that's it. So 26 is what you'd be running for 3-gun. But yeah, there's actually a couple of guys in like top 10 kind of thing 3-gun that are running these, and I think it's the sole reason is that they can go load it up and they don't have to worry about port loading any of their shells, right?
Yeah, there's no real penalty for running it dry.
Yeah, you just keep feeding it. So there's no penalty.
Even my dad's old A5 from '89 has that feature, but I actually found it jammed up on my thumb one time when I tried doing that.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems.
But little baby fingers.
Yeah. I also got this guy out here. This is a Volquartsen Evolution, and it's a semi-auto 223 that uses AR-15 mags and is pretty accurate. So that's the whole idea here. Is Volquartsen is known for their 1022 stuff, so their triggers, hammers, and that kind of thing. And this is a big honkin' 223 semi-auto. No bolt release on it. Just runs right up over here. Kind of interesting. Great trigger on it. Very heavy. This is not like a hunting rifle. This is a heavy, like a bench rest style rifle.
Well, look at the forend, right? Got that flat fucking.
Yeah, very flat forend on it. Really cool barrel. Quite pricey.
Quite.
Let's see what else on my list here. I got a whole bunch of stuff I'm doing in April here. My wife's gonna kill me. I'm doing 3-gun this weekend. I'm going snow goose hunting during the Easter holidays, and and then I got a CQB clinic 2 weekends after that. So all told, my April is going to be like 2,000 rounds plus. So lots of gun stuff, which is going to be good. And then I didn't put this in here, but I got a patch from these CCFR guys because I'm one of their field officers. I don't know. That's all my stuff.
Right on. With that, we can go ahead and ask Mr. Elixir. What have you been up to?
The past couple of weeks, I've got my new scope in.
Last couple of, however, you haven't been on it forever.
Oh, yeah. Well, finally got my Savageville bench. Oh, wait, no, I already talked about that one. But I got new rail for it and new rings, and finally got my scope in, which is the Vortex Golden Eagle with the simple reticle on it. And I was actually able to take it out, I think, 2 weekends ago, and it shoots better than I can with the bags that I have currently.
Right on. So you're looking for long-range precision shooting?
Yep.
Yeah.
And in, I think it's June or July, my local range is doing a competition that if I've actually got enough practice with the rifle, I'm going to compete in.
Ooh, you got to record it?
Possibly.
I'd say even if you don't feel like you're ready, I'd encourage you to do it anyways. Just the act of going to your first competition, you get all of the, like, let's say, procedure of it, or how that match is going to run exactly out of the way. So even if you don't do good, which I think you'll probably do better than you think you would, but you'll be prepared for that next time. So if you're saying, well, I'm not good enough now, at least you've got some of that mental aspect out of the game. So next time, if you've got your skills higher than you think they are now, that's one less thing to worry about.
Yeah.
Perfect. Mr. Crazy, what have you been up to in the last week or so?
I've been up to a fair bit, actually. So I went shooting with DV, Taro Hunter, and King Burnmouth up in North Bay, which was a fair bit of a drive from the city. And my Tokarev broke. So what you're seeing here is the slide stop right there. It snapped in half in the middle. So I have to buy a new slide stop from TradeX to get this thing to work again. And I actually realized with the way this broke, this is a problem that's actually, it can happen on just about any Browning design or gun derived from a lot of Browning designs from back in the day. The slide stop pinning the whole barrel assembly into place is something very common in a lot of old Browning designs from back then. The 1911 has it, the High Power has it, the 1903 and 1907 have it. And the barrel actually puts it's actually a pressure point in the middle there where it connects up to the barrel. When this all recoils backward, the barrel is pushing on the slide stops rod there. And that's actually, I think, what caused this to snap is me shooting spicy check loads out of the Tokarev, which
I was going to say, that must have been submachine gun ammo, right?
Yeah, it was the Czech submachine gun ammo, about 1,500 rounds apparently. It will do that to a Tokarev. But I realized it's a failure that can potentially happen on any Browning design gun if you shoot a lot of hot loads in them, is it can cause that failure in that exact same point. Case in point, you look at the Browning High Power, and you can see the slide stop goes through it in the exact same fashion, in the exact same way there. So that is something that can happen on any kind of Browning design there. Going past that, I got my AR sighted in finally with the new trigger, and it's so much better than before. I went and I was just getting ready. I pretty much just put my finger on, barely applying pressure, and boom! And I'm like, oh fuck! I was aiming down range still, but like I didn't really have my scope centered and prepared.
Which trigger did you end up going with?
I got an Ares Armor trigger from Canada Ammo. It was 3.5 pounds single stage, which is exactly what I wanted if I was going to get a new trigger. So, and I'm happy with it. Other than that, I joined up at Silverdale down in Niagara because it's like the closest range to here, unfortunately, because of David Miller. So yeah, I now have a membership at a gun range that's not through my parents. And yeah, Silverdale. Yeah, so I went down there, literally just sat through their orientation course and went, yeah, I'm a member at 2 other clubs and I've done a safety course. And they went, okay, good. Here you can go shoot your handguns now. And so I went and tested to make sure that this thing worked with the new slide stop, which, by the way, if a Tokarev breaks, it's not worth fixing, basically. The slide stop alone is $30 at TradeX, who was the only place that had it in stock. On top of that, they charged $15 in shipping for it, plus taxes. It ended up costing me $51 to get this for a gun that costs $200. So if it wasn't for the fact that this is my first handgun, it would not be fixed right now. Yeah. So if a Tokarev breaks, just buy a new one and keep your old one for other parts, because it's not worth repairing them. It costs too much money unless you go to like a gun show and find a part there or something, or someone else with a Tokarev that broke a different way. It's not worth it. Did you try Numrich out of the States or anything like that, or was that going to be too much as well? With conversion, it would have been too much. I checked there were some available on eBay for like $22 US. So when you convert that over to Canadian plus shipping plus, do you really think the CBSA is going to like you exporting gun parts off eBay, especially? It's not worth it.
Terror Hunter suggested that you should have gone to Marstar.
They don't have any.
They didn't have any. They didn't even have a list for parts, actually. I did check to see if they would be cheaper than TradeX, and
they're sold out.
Oh, they're sold out. I couldn't find a list there. My dad tried calling Epps, and they didn't have anything. So yeah, TradeX was my only option. I got the part literally the day after I ordered it, pretty much. Like, I ordered it Wednesday night.
TradeX is a solid place.
Yeah.
So
it was nice and fixed very quickly, but still, it's kind of a bummer that it happened. King Burnmouth lent me his slide stop after he ran out of ammo for his Tokarev, so I could still shoot some of my Tokarev a bit more, which was good because it was the only semi I brought with me, and I was shooting my revolver like shit that day.
Well, you sure it wasn't just a shit revolver?
No, actually, since I got it back from Ruger, I actually haven't had to take the cylinder assembly off.
I told you!
I shot about 200 rounds through it now, and the cylinder, I spin it and it still goes. I pull it in double action, it feels fine. So I don't know what magic they performed at their warranty center in Quebec, but the gun
they fixed the broken gun because no revolver should need full disassembly every 300 rounds. Makes no sense. But enough about ragging on good old crazy about old guns. How about you, Jenner? What have you been up to?
Oh, a little bit of this and that. Last time we talked, I mentioned I busted the sight off my Versamax, so I picked up a new one, threw it on, took it out and shot a bunch of skeet with it. I was saying last time how I kind of liked the red dot. I wasn't sure for busting clays. Gone back and forth both ways, and I've taken the reflex sight off the shotgun. I prefer a bead, I think, overall. Oh, what else was I up to?
Much.
Well, and it was good, but just for the clays, especially when they got out there a little bit, it was just a little bit harder to predict your lead on those, I found.
Yeah, beats better.
So,
I agree. I've drilled and tapped my shotgun and run a red dot on it, and then promptly went back to just bead as well.
Yeah, if it was just ground targets, the red dot is 100 times better. But it's, I mean, I could figure out the holdover with the flying clays, but I didn't like it. Other than that, you may have seen me talking in the IRC, but I went and picked up this finally this week.
Oh!
This is Chris Vector in 45 ACP. folding side stock on this sucker, so it's a nice little compact package. Came with the Magpul hand stop. I got this used, and a Burris AR-15 on it. Oh, cool. Seems like a cool little gun. But what's especially cool about it, magazines here. This gun is empty, forward left-handed side charging handle here. This magazine right here is the exact same magazines that this Glock 21 takes. So that's nice. I didn't have to restock up on a ton of magazines. And I was thinking, depending, how some of this CQB stuff goes, where they're saying bring whatever you want. I'm going to bring an AR and a pistol to the course, but that might be fun later to play with. Although then I'll have to get a hell of a lot more magazines, and Glock magazines aren't cheap. I did play with, I've got this Korean 26 rounder. And any of the reviews I've seen with these Chris's that said that they're unreliable, all the comments basically said, you're running the wrong magazine. It has to be stock. This one's tighter, and it does kind of mess with the gun a little bit, is what I found. So 10 rounders it is for that, unless,
So can't you open up the feed lifts a little or something? Oh, as in tighter, as in it going into the gun?
Yeah, like you would have to shave down the sides here. And the fact of the matter is, like, besides this looking cool, it's still just a 10-round magazine, right? Yeah. The 10 rounders sit flush, but they also drop free, no problem. So it's not like you need that extra. I guess it's a little bit easier to maybe jam that in, but as far as getting it out, it doesn't matter.
Does Magpul make a mag for that?
Not for 21, unfortunately, or not that I've seen anywhere online. I did look, because that was my first thought too, but it seemed like 9mm, and I think 40, but I didn't see any 45. I think people that shoot 45 Glock are probably somewhat in a small group. I bought it because it was cheap, and I turned out to really like it, but 1911s and 45 ACP seem to go hand in hand for whatever reason.
I don't know. It must be some old design or something.
Maybe. Superior design, one might argue. I did the Maple Seed Rifleman's Challenges, number 2 and number 3. So they give you a free sticker if you get a certain score. So that's my first one. Second one will be on the way. Kind of a fun little thing, just different 25-yard target every month. And if you achieve a certain score and post it to their webpage, they'll send you stickers. I like stickers. Other than that, I did some range trips. I won't talk about that, besides say that highway patrolman is stupid accurate. I don't think I've shot a more accurate handgun ever. At 7 yards, not a high rate of fire, but I did 3 times in a row, all 6 chambers, cloverleaf. So with my semi-autos, I can get a nice tight group at 7 yards, but not like that revolver was getting me. So that's awesome. And that was just
those in double or in single action?
It's all single action, of course.
Yeah.
But it was just with these hand-cast red lipstick rounds I made. So, I mean, not even high-quality ammo. I just picked a mid-charge for this cast bullet, and that thing's awesome.
Right on.
Finally, I got this. This is a Core ice pack. I think I might have talked about that.
Yes, you did.
I'm going to that CQB match as well in April. And I don't expect it to be hot there, but I was at that Milo range it might have been May. I'd have to look and see when I took that Tavor course there. But it was hot as all get out, and the guy was going through a ton of water. So the idea of having one of these frozen and tucked inside your chest rig seems pretty appealing. They advertised on the website too, you could fill it with hot water and wear it in the winter, but it's an American company. I'm thinking that might go sideways in a hurry in actual Canadian winter.
Yeah.
Probably.
Work for the first 10 minutes and then you just freeze to death. But I'll be interested to try that out anyways. That's about all I got.
Excellent. Excellent. Hopefully I'm not going to robot too much while I talk about what I did. Thank you, Janitor, for your contributions so far. I finally got this. See if I can do this. There it is. It is a shoulder holster, but inside the shoulder holster, there's a giant handgun. This is a Smith & Wesson Model 29-2 44 Magnum with an 8 3/8 of an inch barrel. So this puppy is an 1/8 of an inch longer than my 357. It matters, trust me. Right now it's loaded with purple paralyzer bullets. It spins freely because that's what all revolvers should do. And I also got reloading dies from the same guy that I bought this from on CGN, and promptly made some nice little loads. For the reloaders out there, I made 240 grain, fully copper-plated projectiles. They were sitting on top of 9.4 grains of tight group, and I just had normal CCI large pistol magnum primers. This was all inside of some Hornady brass that was new. I did not buy any factory ammo, shot it, and kept the brass. I went straight into my own home loads, and they worked all right, except for the fact that apparently I did not crimp them enough, and after the first 5 shots, I checked the 6th shot, and I noticed that the projectile was walking out on me. So I promptly shrugged my shoulders, shot the rest of the 100 rounds that I had made, and when I got home, chucked the brass into the tumbler this morning, and whipped up another batch. This time around, I'm just going to use 9 greens because I am on the search right now for some nice rubber grips for this guy, because I have rubber grips on my 357. I have little pussy hands. And until then, I'm just going to try and get some nice soft shooting loads. It did not kick so much. I have a video of it, and Janitor, who is a much more experienced 44 Magnum shooter, he commented that it did not look like it was flipping too much, which was nice. And these 9 grain rounds have a much tighter crimp on them, so much so that I may have crushed a couple of the cases a little bit, just a little bit, during my reloading process. And once that's done, I shall be taking them out to the range as soon as I am available once more, probably sometime next week or maybe this weekend. And we'll see if a tighter crimp is enough to tame the mighty 9 grains of tight group. That's what I've been up to on this last 2 weeks. Just basically sitting on this gun, waiting for the cert that came in on Tuesday, and I promptly went and shot the gun right away with my nice little home loads. There. Thoughts, comments?
Sweet.
Snark.
Get that. Get that Lee factory crimp or another separate crimp die, and then you won't crush your cases and make better ammo.
Yeah, or I could just,
shoot it. Yeah, that's an option too.
Yeah.
Good option.
As long as I'm not destroying my brass irreparably, which, a bag of 100 pieces of 44 Magnum brass from Hornady is like $70. So it's no 338 Lapua, Mr. Elixir, right?
Yeah, it's not cheap.
No.
$80 for 20.
How much?
$80 for 20.
Ooh, lad.
Gone down.
Oh no, that's just the brass.
Oh.
It's between 100 and 120 for actual factory ammo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
I'd like to also mention that 2 weeks from now on Friday is the Calgary Gun Show. I will be in Calgary for the weekend, and I will be going to the gun show. I have heard from a couple of Redditors on the IRC that they will be coming. Elixir, you said you wanted to come?
Yep, I should be able to.
Excellent. I know Kleeman wants to come too, and a couple of my friends who are gun owners are also going to be there. I won't be wearing the sombrero this year. I don't think it's going to fit in my carry-on luggage. Or I could just wear the sombrero to the plane and travel with a giant Mexican sombrero all the way from Victoria to Calgary, but I'm strongly leaning towards that's too much of a pain in the ass.
Nonsense. Fuck all those gringos. Wear the sombrero.
I wore it actually a couple of years ago last time I went to the show, and I did get recognized by at least one other Redditor. Everybody else just kind of ignored the fact that there was a short Mexican-looking guy wearing a sombrero to the Calgary Gun Show. They might have just thought that I was Mexican for real or something. Who knows? But enough about the Mexicans. We are here to talk about what, gentlemen?
ARs.
Rifles.
Hardwood
Rifles.
floors.
Assault rifles.
Assault rifles. Assault rifle
rifle
15. Yeah. And you know what, Adriel? you're gonna take over from here because you have a better connection.
Sweet. Yeah, it's actually pretty solid today. Yeah, so we're here to talk about assault rifle 15s. They are known for firing 15 bullets a second. I think that's why they called the assault rifle 15.
30 caliber clips in half a second.
30 caliber
clips in half a second. There we go. But on a more serious note, I was thinking it would be really cool to talk about. I think out of the 5 people we've got on the show right now, I think 4 people have AR-15s. They're really popular, and I thought it would be really cool to talk about the different options and why I'd go for one or the other, and just kind of share what our setups are, because AR-15s are kind of like Lego or, I don't know, gun Barbies for dudes, I guess. You can dress them out in all sorts of different ways.
Also for the car guys, it's like a Honda Civic. You can turn it into
Oh, it's got to be better than a Honda Civic.
Maybe an Accord.
Maybe an Accord. There we go.
Oh,
but just to start with, what do you use your AR for besides cutting moose in half?
Janner, go.
Oh, obviously to keep the children in check. Honestly, no. I use mine for 3-gun. I bought one a long time ago, took it to the range, shot it. We've got a 50-yard bay, 100-yard bay, and I don't know. I got farmland, so I can shoot a normal rifle anywhere I want on farmland. So the AR kind of sat in my safe until I started competing, and now I used to prefer the Tavor mainly because but now that AR platform is, I think, unrivaled as far as competition with rifle goes, at least for practical shooting. So that is what I use mine for.
Sweet. Crover, what do you use yours for?
Well, the thing about my AR is that it has done many different iterations since I got it. It started as a bone stock Colt M4 with the model number 6920, which was the patrol carbine version. And that gun is, for all intents and purposes, a semi-auto version of the US M4 rifle, currently being used by their armed forces. And now, it looks nothing like it. It looks like this. It's got an enormous scope and an A2 stock because I apparently like to shoot tiny groups with this thing. So the scope helps me do that. The Colt IR heavy barrel helps me do that. And as soon as I can find it, there should be a nicer trigger in here that's going to help me shoot this long range. And by long range, I mean to my 100 or 120, 100 or 250 yard range that I can shoot this legally, since I cannot take it out to Crown Land and shoot it at extended ranges.
Sweet. So shooting far.
It is a target rifle for me.
Sweet. Looks like Crazy's probably grabbing his. I'll talk about mine. So here's my AR. I use it for competition, purely competition. I had this AR before then, looking very different than this. This is a Franken gun that I built a while back now. When the crunch was in, where we couldn't get AR parts up here, that's when that's the stupid time when I decided to build it. But this guy here is for 3-gun. I've also used it for service rifle. Service rifle is more of it's pure AR, and it's pure shooting at mid to long distances, but shooting for accuracy. So that's what I use mine for. Crazy?
Yes. So here's mine. This AR is pretty much ideally built for coyote hunting, but we can't use it for that in Ontario, or Canada rather. So at the moment, it kind of fills the same role my Hawa does, except in semi-automatic form. So I'm starting to think maybe I might want to change to a different optic, despite having this nice Nikon scope on here. I'm starting to think maybe, even though Crover said yes, something better than a CQB optic on it, maybe I'm starting to think maybe I should just get a CQB optic on it anyway. Fill that role for a bit closer ranges if I do want to start getting into almost any kind of competitive shooting done with the AR. I'm probably not going to be using a scope this big for it.
If you were really like hard up on shooting service rifle, that would be fine. because service rifle you're doing 100 plus, right? You're not doing any shorter than that unless you're doing CQB. So.
Well, service rifle is the most popular kind of shooting involving an AR in Ontario, as far as I know. There's only one club I know that runs 3-gun. IPSC rifle's not really done in Ontario.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, service rifle is about it. Even still, I do kind of want to get like a close quarter upper as well. Kind of maybe keep that one the way it is and get a 7.5 or a 10.5 inch upper at some point in the future, just to fuck around.
Cool. All right, let's come back around and let's first any discussion, like what do you guys have you guys tried service rifle?
Before any discussion goes further, Janner, we had a question really quickly on the side chat in the YouTube. Why does the divorce suck for 3-gun?
You know what? I've been playing with it a little bit. So basically, they're height over bore. On my Tavor, I've got an ACOG style sight. My height over bore is over 4 inches. It's like closer to 4.5. So what that means for close range shooting, you've got to mentally adjust 4.5 inches different to make up for that, or you're going to shoot over your target, or depending how it's set up, you're just not going to hit where you're aiming at. The other thing we've talked about on previous shows, but the VTAC boards, or the 9-hole drill boards, they have small slots in them. I've built one at home, and I've been practicing with my Tavor on it, and I've got to the point now where you can see your target. But again, back to that height over bore, depending on the spot you're looking through and how you had your gun, you might have your muzzle all the way through that hole and see nothing but plywood through your optic. So it can be done. It's something I've had to mentally train to hold the gun a lot more exaggerated with the moments, whereas with the AR-15 being so low profile, I mean, something like this, we're talking like 2 inches height over bore. It's pretty forgiving. You know, I might only have to get down to a 30 or 45 degree angle, whereas with the the Tavor, you've got to have it right sideways on a lot of those boards. So doable. Just you have to be more deliberate about what you're doing, and deliberation causes time or costs time.
So now the AR is already considered to have a pretty high height over bore compared to most rifles. I mean, they sell risers to get red dots to work with the AR because it needs to be higher up to be in line with your eyes. And you're saying the Tavor's got an even higher height over bore compared?
A lot higher.
Big time.
Yeah.
So going back to what Adrian was saying, you were talking about service rifle, Adrian, right?
Yeah, I was just asking if like what kind of like other uses do you guys have for your ARs? I mean, have any of you shot service rifle or anything else?
I play Battleship with mine.
Battleship is fun, yeah.
That's what I've used my AR for. I've shot the gong, I've shot my Battleship targets, and I've shot my steel with it. That's it. If I wanted to, I think I could take this into the U.S. It's not too short, or is it too short? Crazy?
It is too. It's too short by 0.3 inches.
Oh,
What if you pin and weld your brake? Or is that going to be a non-issue?
I don't know what length the brake is, but for U.S. law, they include permanently attached muzzle devices, whereas in Canadian law, they don't. So it might be okay, because I don't know how long that muzzle brake is. It should probably be okay, but I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure this is just a flash hider, not a... Uh-oh. And... Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You'll be back in a minute.
I would hunt with my AR-15. Yeah, like all the time. Coyote hunting and that kind of thing. I would definitely use one of these guys, because coyote hunting, sometimes you get like 2-3 coyotes come in, and you know what? I couldn't even guess what I put into this rifle, but it's still probably less than a lot of the semi-auto 223s that we've got here in Canada. But like way more accurate, ergonomic. Trigger is amazing on this thing, and I would definitely hunt coyotes with this.
I agree, Adriel. If I could, this thing would be on the back of my truck every weekend, going blasting in the bush. This thing would not even be. It wouldn't even be a second thought about. I think I'm gonna bring the shotgun to blast some clays. If we're going in magical fairyland, this thing is also coming out. The fucking hand cannon. I might bring a 22. and obviously the next thing, or maybe even the first thing that got packed for the random Saturday afternoon range trip would be the AR. I mean, bush trip would be the AR. This thing is. I wish I could get more trigger time on it. I wish I didn't have to shoot it at the range. I wish I could just tell somebody, "Oh, hey Crover, I want a nice centerfire rifle that won't break the bank."
Yeah.
This guy.
I want a semi-auto 223 that's also like pretty accurate. Okay, well, an AR-15. Or if you're in Canada, like a Modern Hunter, or sorry, the Modern Varminter, or something like that, Volquartsen or something like that. But those are not $1,000 rifles.
No.
It's about the only $1,000 rifles you get are the Titan Type 97 and the Keltec SU-16.
Yeah, and they're not.
And the Mini 14s, but they're not accurate.
Yeah, some of them are okay, but some of them are not okay. But why don't we move on to the next thing? So, in terms of how did you get your AR-15? Is your AR-15 a monolithic one brand kind of a rifle, or is it like a total Frankengun? And just to keep our cycle going, why don't we start with the janitor?
Sure, I've got two here actually with me. So this is a 16-inch. This started off as a one piece. It was a Bushmaster that I bought, just their $1,000 XM15. Now that said, this trigger is still the original trigger, but I've polished it a little bit. I've upgraded the charging handle to an ambidextrous charging handle, strictly because I've got this optic on here. This is now a Daniel Defense Omega rail on the front. So that's a quad rail. It came with the Magpul furniture. I've put a hand stop on, and then 45-degree offset sights as well.
Ooh, so high speed, low drag.
Yeah. So started as a one-piecer, but as you can see, I've swapped out a ton. I also put a bad lever on this sucker. And that's not the stock bolt anymore. So Frankengun. So basically what I'm saying is the receiver and the barrel are still the same.
And you're going to change the barrel.
Once I shoot it out, yeah. This one here is an Aero Precision lower. I bought the strip receiver. Bad lever again. This has got the Geisley Super 3-gun trigger that I bought from Crover. It's got an upgraded Magpul MOE with the rubberized stock. Both of those had ACS Magpul stocks. I didn't mention that. It's got a Daniel Defense light rail, they call that. Magpul backup iron sights. Again, ambidextrous charge handle with enlarged controls. Noveske Flaming Pig on this sucker that I bought from a guy at 3-gun. Neat little brake. It's linear compensator, so it shoots its forward. It's also really loud. So that's cool. This one has a Lantac bolt. I don't know if you can see that. That's shiny. So that's it cleans off really easy. If you take it out and hold it in your hand, it's quite slippery. Other than that, it's just a cheap shit Chinese red dot sight that I bought to try out on a shotgun a long time ago. And you know what? It works great. Like I've been meaning to replace it, and I just haven't had a reason to.
Hey, is it broke?
Nope.
Then
And it holds zero.
Don't fix it.
This is also, I guess I didn't mention, but this is a Noveske 10-inch, 10.5-inch upper. I got that from Beaver Nuts. So between the trigger and the upper from Redditors, I got, it's still an expensive rifle when you price together all the parts, but could have been way more expensive without getting a couple of those pieces used.
Yeah.
2 Frankenguns.
2 Frankenguns.
Yes.
Crover, what about you?
Okay, well, I actually have a bit of a slideshow to go with my talk about my rifle. Due to my obsessive nature and wanting to present to the world what I have done, I have documented how the AR-15 that I have purchased has moved through its stages. The first thing I got was, there it is, the bone stock M4. It's got a government profile barrel, which means, I don't know, I think it's the thickness. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. It had the bayonet lug, the fixed front post, the big old handguard, not a free barrel.
M203 cut out there as well. That's the government profile.
Yeah. You know, Colt standard furniture, nice little buttstock, nice little hand grip, and it had a Magpul backup sight, rear backup sight. That got changed into
So
this.
hold on just 1 second real quick there. Adriel, you say that the reason that barrel goes down and out again is because that's where the M203 mounts?
Yeah.
I actually did not know that. Now I just wondered why the hell does the barrel get thin for a bit there?
Yeah, it's
Now
weird,
I-
right?
Now I know.
You would have hit it, but that makes more sense. Yeah. So this is, for all intents and purposes, a semi-auto M4 from the U.S. Military forces. The first set of upgrades that I did with this guy, when I realized that I really did not like the cheek weld that the collapsible stock did, was I swapped out the collapsible stock for a standard A2 stock. If you ever are interested in switching from a carbine stock to a fixed full-length rifle stock, keep in mind that the the spring tube inside of the stock is actually a different length, and you do need a different recoil spring tube, and a different, probably a different buffer and a different spring, along with the different stock. The tools that you need to swap out those stocks, you can try doing it with a regular wrench, but you're probably gonna screw something up. Just buy the Magpul wrench, which is what I did. It's got all the bits and pieces. The next upgrade was I threw away the upper. And by threw away, I mean sold it to somebody, and I got myself a cold IUR stock. What's notable about this is that it is pre-floated, and it is one big long piece of metal from the back all the way to the front. It's a continuous rail along the top, and the sights got upgraded to Magpul Pro Sights 2, and I was running it with a itty bitty little TRS-25 red dot on a UTG mount to get it to co-witness properly. And then I thought, I really don't think that's enough, so I put a better scope on it. That's a Bushnell AR-223 scope. It was illuminated 1:4, and it worked, but I shot it and realized that I wanted my groups to get tighter, so I got an upgraded trigger, that Geissele Super 3-gun trigger that Janitor now has, and that's when I found out I'm a trigger queen, and I like my 2-stage super crisp triggers, and the lightness and the single-stageness of the Super 3-gun trigger was not what I wanted. So out went the expensive trigger, and in went back in the standard Colt trigger. I also changed the charging handle and the safety to accommodate my leftiness. It's an affliction. It sucks. I'm not happy with it, but that's the way it is. My next upgrade was I put a shotgun on my AR. I think that's everybody's next upgrade, or that should be in everybody's upgrade list. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, yeah, 2 guns is better than 1.
2 guns is better than 1. And you know what? 3 guns is better than 1. The 3-in-1 league will come about. We will make it happen, people. It will happen. I promptly asked Janitor to whip up a mount, and through a lot of giggling and a lot of checking up on things, seeing how things work, I did end up finally getting that mount, and that got mounted on the AR. I tried shouldering it and realized that was difficult, and so I sold the shotgun. I was gonna go shoot it, but I didn't. And this is how the Krover AR is sitting at right now. I got some Magpul rail covers to protect my little bitch hands. And the grip got swapped along the way for a Magpul grip. And I don't know if you can see right now, but I did do something else to the rifle. I added a enlarged trigger guard, because this one is plastic and it's softer on my little bitch hands.
You also got rid of the purple 4-Venus.
I also got rid of the purple 4-Venus. I can't believe I missed that. Right now I'm looking for a Magpul hand stop kit, just so that I can put my hand right up against the back of the rail here. Right now there's a grenade launcher mount there that's quite pokey, and again, I have bitch hands. So yeah, that's what the upgrades on this thing are going to be. I'm going to get a nice Geissele super single action trigger with a nice 2-stage trigger pull from 2.5 pounds to 2 pounds of ultra delicious crispness. And then the Magpul hand stop kit. That's the only upgrades that I'm looking to do to this rifle. And I think other than a bipod at some point, that's it.
Sweet. Crazy. What do you got there?
Yeah,
Franken gun or all-in-one?
Oh yeah, it's Franken as fuck. Originally, my first AR was a Dominion Arms DA-556, so Norinco Chinese, and it was all Chinese. I had a Chinese thing for it. Then when I didn't like the Chinese thing for it, someone gave me a Russian scope, and I stuck that on it. I stuck a bipod on it, and then sold it when I decided to build this thing. So I started off not wanting to build an AR, but then SFRC had a sale on Blemish lowers for like $60. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm building an AR now. So I picked this up. Then I picked up the parts kit and this, which was all just from True North Arms, all just white box Chinese. I'll just go out and say the trigger in that kit is terrible. There's no two ways about it. That trigger is shit. It was like 3 stages and like 8 pounds. It was disgusting. So once I actually got to shoot it, I realized that. The buffer system and the charging handle are also True North Arms. The stock is a Magpul CTS. The bolt is an Ares Armor bolt. The trigger is now an Ares Armor trigger, single stage, 3.5 pounds. And of course, the upper is a Colt IUR I got from Kleeman, actually. The scope and mount are the Nikon M223 scope and M223 mount. The scope is a 3-12, and it's got the Nikon BDC 600 reticle in it there, which is drop compensated. What the hell is it? It's like if you have a 223 projectile that is 55 grain polymer tip and travels at 2,000 or 3,255 feet per second, then the ballistics in this reticle are compensated for exactly 600 yards if you zero it at 100.
It'll tell you where the bullet's going to hit.
Yeah, basically. Other than that, Nikon has software online that tells you that. But yeah, this gun is why I never took a vacation this year, because this is where all my money went, is building this thing. It's pretty much built the way I wanted it to be, more or less. The only thing I'm still wondering is, like, I mean, it's pretty heavy. Colt IUR is a pretty heavy upper when you think about it. It's a little loose in there actually now. Maybe I might want to look into an Accu wedge in the future, because the groups I was getting, I mean, it's sighted, but the groups are kind of around 2 inches or so maybe, and I know it can do better than that. So I might look into an Accu wedge in the future. For
it probably won't do anything for you. It'll like you get your accuracy out of the barrel on an AR-15.
I do remember reading in Caliber magazine when they took an IUR and put it in a bit of a looser fitting receiver. They were getting 2 MOA, and they put it in a tighter fitting receiver and got it down to sub MOA actually. So
this IUR shoots sub MOA.
Yeah. So the fit with the receiver can actually make a difference in that. The only other upgrade I kind of want is that the UTG foregrip that also has a bipod built into it.
Do you want to buy a G2?
A G2 meaning?
I'll send you a picture. I've got one for sale.
Oh, gun dealer time!
I will think about it. The only other thing I'm concerned about is with this scope. Like I said, it's not really close quarters. The lowest zoom on this is 3, and you really got to have your eye into it properly in order to be able to see. It's not something fast acquisition like a fixed 3-time zoom or even just a 1-time zoom red dot. And I don't really want to be taking the optic off and putting it on and resighting it a whole bunch every time I do that. I figure it'd be easier to just get a new upper and keep this with this, or if I make
2 words, man, canted iron sights.
Well, there is that too. Canted irons are a possibility, or potentially even just decide to switch the optic up altogether, get just a close quarters optic, because realistically this gun fits the same role for me right now that my Howa does, which is I go to the range and I shoot really accurate with it at far distances. And I'm not really I don't know if that's really what I want in an AR, because I have a bolt action that does that for me instead. I guess it all depends on the kind of shooting I'm looking to do with this in the future, and I gotta, I guess, look into what's available, what's most likely for me to be doing, and think about building the gun in that context.
Sweet.
Right
I guess
on.
I'll do mine. So I've got a total Franken gun. I started with the lower. I think I got one of the Blemish lowers from SFRC. I think. No, Blue Line Lauren, but I think that is from the same place. I'm pretty sure these are Blemish NEA lowers. And the blemish on mine was that the takedown pin was too close to this this little bit here. So I just grinded my takedown pin a little bit, and that's fine. Let's just share that guy right there, and you can see this was how I originally had it configured. I had a spark on there. This is, oh God, what is that forend? Can you remember what that forend is? Tube aluminum, cheap. It got very hot. There's no gap, there's no gaps or anywhere for the gas and heat to get out of there. So it would just slowly get hotter and hotter and hotter on that forend. And if you run a match with that thing, it would get like uncomfortably warm. I did start with a decent rear stock. Everything else has changed out, although on this thing. Here it is a little bit later. I went with a Troy Alpha forend on it, which was the hotness way back in the day. Way back in the day, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. These days, the BCM is the new hotness on the forends. And I went with a 1:4 scope on it. So the 1:4 was a lot better for your 100-yard plus kind of a shots. And then let's just take this to here. This is how I've got it configured today. So I painted it. It's got a Rainier Arms match barrel on it. So this is a heavy profile barrel in comparison to the other one, which is a government profile 16-inch. This is a little bit heavier. It's not actually that heavy. The forend is very light. The barrel is heavy. It feels actually very balanced, and the accuracy is killer. AR-15s, your barrel is your accuracy. So a good quality barrel makes all the difference. Oh geez, what did I do in this thing? A bunch of stuff. Like everything's different, right? Blue line lower. Yep. I had a Spikes upper with the Spikes barrel and all that other stuff, but that's gone now. This is a Spikes upper, the upper part, but then different barrel, different gas tube, different forends, different muzzle device. Yeah, this is a complete Franken gun. Everything is from completely different manufacturers. I'm trying to think if anything is from the same. Well, I guess there's a Magpul stock and there's a Magpul grip on here, so those two are the same.
Did you paint the grip, or did it come that color?
No, I painted it.
Is it still grippy, or is it just painted over?
No, it's fine. There's still grip on this thing. I have no problems like dropping it or anything like that unless I throw it. But you know, you got to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, so like that's I guess this thing. I'm trying to think if any of the other parts are the same are on here. We've got some component talk in a little bit here, so I can talk about which components I used as we're going through that. What do you guys upper, lower? Does it even matter? And do any of you have the new hotness, the nickel boron BCGs and bolts?
Nope.
I have a nickel boron, or is that the shiny or the black shiny? That Lantac I talked about.
Shiny.
Yeah, that's what's in here. It's a full auto
Easy
bolt.
clean.
It wipes off, like you can just hit it with paper towel. I'll see if I can pop that out here real quick. There we go. Yeah, so right there, you can see that sucker is chromed up. And like I was saying, like I've got oil on here, but even when I took it out of the package, like you just about drop it. It's so slippery. So it hardly needs any lube. It's super easy to clean. Also super expensive. I won't say what I spent on it, but let's say it was a couple pennies less than $400. But yeah, it's awesome. It looks cool. And the guys at RDSC are awesome at the upsell. They talked me into it while I was in there, and I guess I don't regret it. So
yeah, I think the idea is less maintenance and easier cleaning and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. What about furniture? What kind of furniture did you guys end up going with, and why? So in terms of rear stock, grip, and your forend. Janitor, since you're up there, did you want to start?
Yep, you betcha. So I just got this back together. I have got the Magpul ACSs on both of these. So they have a pack compartment here, both sides. You can put batteries in there is the idea, or Skittles. It's got a little door right here. You can keep your, I don't know, something in. I I keep nothing in it. It's got 2 locks, so it's got a friction lock as well as your 6th position. I've got the Magpul MOE Plus grips on there. So MOE, I think, is kind of their budget line. Plus, all they've done is they put like a tacky rubberized coating on that. 4 ends on both of them. This one's the Daniel Omega rail. It's just a nice quad rail. This one's actually polymer, nice and light, but I just wanted, you know, the 4 Picatinny surfaces there, even though I've got covers on 3 of them on this one. On the other one, it's the light rail, it's called. Same contour, same everything else, but aluminum. And same thing, I don't have covers on this one. I've also got the Magpul AFG on this. And we've talked about that before, but I kind of like the Costa grip like that, but it just keeps, it's a nice firm surface to keep that gun pulled in nice and tight and throw it around, transitioning between targets.
Very cool. Crover?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, this thing came with your standard Colt M4 furniture, and I promptly hated it. The reason that I didn't like the stock was because when I shouldered it, just the way that the rifle fit me, my cheek would be getting its cheek rest right on the edge of the collapsible stock. So half my cheek would be on the recoil tube, and then half my cheek would be on the piece of metal, and that's just not comfortable for me. So I thought, you know what's nice and, you know, fancy and kind of stupid? The A2. The A2 stock. This is literally a CGN special, $100 for the entire A2 stock assembly. Stock, recoil spring, buffer, and the recoil spring too. So I went ahead and I bought that. Fun fact, there's actually a spacer, and by a spacer I mean a little itty bitty little chunk of plastic that goes between your stock and the recoil tube that spaces the gap between the A1 tube that is still being used and the A2 stock. That's what that means, folks. Back in the day, in the 60s and 70s, when they were developing these things, there was an A1, the M16A1, that had a slightly shorter stock, and then that got turned into the A2, a slightly longer stock. But the U.S. Ordnance Department, instead of coming up with a different length recoil spring tube, they just went ahead and used the same thing and stuck a piece of plastic in between there. My assembly did not come with that, so I had to source that on my own. I didn't like the way the grip felt, and plus I like beaver tails, so I got the Magpul MOE grip. I picked the OD green because I wanted this rifle to be every single different color possible. And I got a lot of colors on this thing. That's basically it.
Cool. Crazy.
Yeah, so I knew I'd want a collapsible stock of some kind. Why? I don't really know. I just kind of like them. When I put myself down, I get a nice cheek weld exactly where it's supposed to be, right in here, not like what Crover had an issue with. So even if I push my face up, I still got plenty of space on this stock here for my face. I was originally looking at the MOE stock, and then I was going to be silly and stick anime characters all over it. I got the CTS after doing just a little bit of looking, and when it went on sale, because it does have the 2 points of locking, the solid lock and just the friction lock, sorry, and then the 6th position. I still don't even know if this is a proper 6th position buffer, but whatever. The grip on here is just whatever came with my LPK. It's some white box Chinese. It works well enough. I don't find any problems with it. I don't have any concerns with it. I mean, the first AR I had was Chinese, so I'm used to that. The only thing I'm thinking about is on the foregrip, getting something here like that bipod foregrip combo I mentioned, just so that if I am shooting from standing, I have that option. And then when you put it on the bench, pop it out or twist it out into a bipod for better stability than the card jack with a V in it that I use right now.
Sweet. And I think that comes over to me. So like I mentioned before, I've got the Troy Alpha forend. This is one of your original modular forends. So they use these round holes that you can kind of get different things for. They'll run the rails. And the other thing I've got this is actually kind of a little bit slick, is it's got a QD mount right there. I had to buy this parts differently, but the quad rails are a little bit heavier, whereas this is a little bit lighter of a forend. Again, there's newer stuff though that won't be as heavy on the forend. I went for a really long one. This is the rifle length here, and the reason for that is because I run 3-gun and I typically bash the fuck out of it. So if I need to like grab onto the wall or something like that, it'll hold really nicely, and I'm not grabbing onto the barrel that might be hot. For the grip, Magpul MOE, but you know what? Any grip's gonna work fine. And I've got the ACS. I don't know if you mentioned, Janitor, but I really like the cheek weld on this thing because it's kind of triangular, and it gives a really nice firm cheek weld on there that you don't really get with the other ones where they're quite a bit more rounded. I
didn't mention that, but yeah, I like to get my nose basically right up on that charging handle, and that stock just fits perfectly for that, I find.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to the charging handle as well. Now, the one thing I don't like, if you can see right here, is that sometimes some beard hair like gets in over here and like pulls my beard hair out. There's a stock that's way worse than that. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically got these like little jaggy enclosures here, and your beard hair it'll rip the shit out of your face, taking your beard.
VLTOR or something. I don't even know how to say it. Like Viltor or something.
Yeah, that I had an AR-180B with one of those on, and I couldn't use it. It was just too much. I had to like tape it over so that it wouldn't chew up my fucking beard. But I guess that's a concern with some of these stocks. All right.
I'd like to quickly mention the fact that the H2 stock has a advantage over all other stocks, which is it has enough space for a Snickers bar. So
that's a big advantage.
How long has that been sitting in there now?
Stickers with you at all range trips.
And so was that compartment originally for a cleaning kit?
No, it's for a Snickers bar, you fucking idiot. Are you not listening?
All right, well, why don't we talk triggers? Crover, you're up there. Why don't you talk about the trigger that you've got in your rifle there?
Right, so the first trigger that this thing came with was a stock Colt M4 semi-automatic trigger, which is to say, let's check. Yep, still heavy as fuck. That's basically it, folks. It is not too creepy. There's a little bit of creep, so no take-up. It's nice. What that terminology means is when I put my finger on the trigger, there is no play on the trigger. When I start applying pressure, well, that's what no take-up means. What the creep part means is when I start applying pressure, there is a bit of grit that I feel as I apply more pressure, but it does break rather cleanly for just a stock trigger. The reset on this is not bad. You do have to let it go all the way to the same place. It's not like there's a shortened reset or anything like that. And it is a heavy trigger because it's not a fancy trigger. It's supposed to be what they call a law enforcement trigger or some sort of denomination like that. It's not supposed to be nice and light because this was supposed to be a patrol carbine, like when this thing started out. So when you got Officer Jitters taking a look and yelling at some guy to drop the gun, they don't want their fingers on the trigger to accidentally, go off and shoot Mr. Gun and pointed at cop when the cop doesn't want it to go off. I upgraded the trigger to a Geisley Super 3-gun trigger that Janitor currently owns. And I did not like it because it was not two-stage, and that's what I liked for precision long rifle. For long-range shooting. But I will let Janitor talk about this Geisley Super 3-gun trigger that is now in his rifle. I put my old Colt trigger back in here, and I am now looking for a Geisley Super single-action trigger, which is a two-stage trigger. Or a G2S, which is their budget line, which is just basically the same thing as a super single action, but not as particle tested or some shit like that. So, Janitor, why don't you talk to us about your trigger?
I'll talk about two. So this is that Bushmaster XM15 lower we were talking about. That is the stock trigger in it still. No take up. It's about, I would say, 5 pounds. But again, decent reset. It's only about halfway there. I like it. I've had it apart. I've polished it. It's fine. Nothing to write home about, but it's repeatable. It's not too heavy, and it does the job. Over already mentioned trigger in this sucker. So you look here. I'm not even going to pull this up itself. Super. I don't know if you can even see that. It's minute. Reset and gone again. 3 1/4 pounds, and you can dump a magazine fast. We had a 3-gun stage where they had one tiny little hitbox, and I purposely missed that target because I knew it was going to be a challenging target. I went past it and saved it for my last, and I just mag dumped my entire magazine in it. It felt like I'd maybe pulled the trigger 3 times, but I was like 8 holes they had to tape up on that sucker. So
didn't you also have a guy walk by and ask if that thing was a machine gun?
Yeah, they kind of wondered, but no, it's great. I love that trigger. I would like to get another one for my other rifle, but at the same time, I haven't found that the trigger in my other rifle is hurting my performance in any way.
Tracy, what about your trigger? What's your trigger experience like?
So, believe it or not, the trigger on the Chinese AR was probably about the same as the trigger on Crover's AR. Because it was designed to be a clone of the M4 carbine. So it was designed to have the same feel, the same barrel length, the same trigger, all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't that bad, to be honest. Then when I got the lower parts kit for this thing, it came with a shittier Chinesium trigger, which was abysmal. It felt like 3 stages or something. It was crazy. And it was ridiculously hard to pull. So I'm sitting there trying to sight this thing in the first time, and I gave up. I got it roughly to the middle and just said, I can't do any better. The trigger pull is too heavy. Because normally you're supposed to use just the tip of your finger there. Trying to do that, it was fucking... It was like impossible. It was like absolutely fucking impossible. So when Canada Ammo had a sale, because everything on this gun was being purchased on sale, I bought an Ares Armor 3.5 pound single stage trigger because I wanted a single stage. I guess I don't know. I decided I wanted a single stage. No particular reason behind it. And the first time I went and shot it, the difference was astounding. I honestly, I was aiming down there, not even quite ready to shoot. I just started applying pressure because I'm used to doing that. And just as I'm applying pressure, the gun went off.
Whoopsie!
Missed the target completely because I was kind of still breathing and the gun was moving all over the place. But it went downrange, so it was not really a negligent discharge, just an early discharge. I did not make that same mistake a second time. Now that I know the trigger behaved, but yeah, with this, it's very firm, very firm. You can feel that. I know you can't feel that. I can feel that. There's absolutely no play, no wiggle, no nothing in this thing. You start applying pressure, and it breaks. That's it. It barely moves. You barely feel anything. It's just when you apply 3.5 pounds of pressure, the trigger breaks and the gun goes off. That's how this works. That's it. That's everything with it. There's no creep. There's no wiggle. There's no nothing. It just pretty much, once you've got the pressure met, the gun goes off. That's
Sweet.
it.
Awesome. The one I've got in mine is original to this Franken gun. It's an RRA 2-speed trigger. They specify it as somewhere between 4.5 and 5 pounds. That's important to me because shooting a service rifle, you can't have too light of a trigger. So this is I just actually measured it, and it's right around 4.8 pounds, but it's a real nice 4.8. It's 2-stage, so it's got just a little bit of take up there. So like shooting 3-gun or something like that is not as good in a trigger like this because you can't really rock and roll it really quickly, really close up. But a little bit of take up, and then nothing. That's it.
Woo!
Gorgeous. I love this trigger. I got it as part of the lower parts kit for this. So just for a little bit more than the price of a regular lower parts kit, I got an RRA 2-stage trigger that is fantastic. Anyways, there's my trigger. Barrel contour, length, gas system length, and chambering. Just, I guess while I'm on the screen here, I'll talk about mine. My original barrel was a 16-inch. I kept with the 16-inch because it works really well with this forend. If I went too short, I'd have like my muzzle brake that would be inside the forend, and I can't have that. And 16 inches for me, it gives me enough range to get out to 400 or 500 once we get our 400 and 500 back up in operation at Chaz. So I'd rather go with a little bit longer just to get a little bit more velocity for those long range stuff. It doesn't really impact me for the short range stuff. This is in a 223 wild chamber, so it should be pretty accurate with 223, pretty accurate with 5.56, and be a good compromise between them. And like most of the 16-inch barrels these days, this one is sold with a mid-length gas system. So a carbine length gas system is a little bit harder on the bolt. This is a little bit softer, and it's a little bit softer shooting. Your rifle length gas system, though, is generally the softer shooting of them all. I think that's all. Oh, contour on this one is a SBR contour, so a little bit heavier than regular, but still, like if you could see the end here, it's not that heavy of a barrel. Janitor, did you want to go next?
Sure. This is, again, back to the Bushmaster, just a 16-inch, just standard profile, military, whatever you call it, chambered in 5.56. Yeah. The Noveski upper I've got, sorry, that's a mid-length gas system in that as well. Back to the 16-inch, my thoughts are pretty much the same as yours, Adriel. It's fine for what we've got. I've got one more lower, and when I build that, I think I'm going to build an 18-inch. Again, for that little bit of velocity, but also, again, back to having my hand out there, I wouldn't mind having it just a little further, but I don't want to grab a hot barrel, so 18 inches would be perfect for me. This Noveski, this has a carbine length gas system in it with the 10-inch barrel. That is the, what they call it? I can't remember what the contour on this one is. It's heavier there. I can see right through it. It's 5.56. I can't see what it is, but it's fairly heavy. I think if you look at the website, they refer to that as a bull barrel. And that's actually part of the reason I selected this stock for it. For such a little rifle, that's a fairly substantial stock, but it helps balance it out just a little bit more, having that weight back there. Yeah, that's about it. Super accurate barrel for that 10.5 inch. This thing is a tack driver, but I would expect less of Noveski. They're pretty good that way.
Very cool. Grover?
I guess I'm going to go ahead and do both Crazy and I, because we have the exact same upper. This is a government contract Colt IUR integrated upper receiver, which means that the barrel came from the factory in this upper. I am guessing there is a flash hider here. It's not really a break. It's just got holes. There is no angle, no nothing. So it's just a bit of a flash hider. It doesn't really mitigate as much recoil, now that there's a lot of recoil with 223, 5.56. It is a heavier profile barrel, and I guess if it's right about the end of a handguard, what kind of gas system does this have, Adriel?
Well, you can measure the length of it if it's, oh boy.
It's very likely to be a carbine length gas system.
Yeah. So it's got a carbine length gas system, and it's chamber in 5.56. And I'm thinking, are these guys, yeah, this is 5.56. Crazy, do you happen to know what the twist rate on these guys are? Is it 1 in 9 or 1 in 7?
I believe it's 1 in 7.
Speaking of twist rates, 1 in 7, 1 in 9, 1 in 12. The heavier the projectile, the smaller you want the number, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
More twists. So 1 in 7 will be good for, geez, like your 77 grains and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Unnecessary for most shooters, like unless you're shooting way out there. Like most, like I don't know what you guys are doing. I shoot blaster ammo in my stuff, 55 grains, 62 maybe. And for that kind of stuff, a 1 in 8 or a 1 in 9 is fine.
Yeah, I only tend to buy 55 because my Howa's got a 1 in 12 twist on the barrel, so it can't stabilize much heavier than that.
Fun fact: during the development of the M16, the round that it was developed with it, the 5.56 round, was made with a 20-inch barrel in mind, with I believe a 1 in 9 or 1 in 7.
1 in 12.
1 in 12?
The original M16 was actually a 1 in 12 twist.
They use the light stuff with it, so they didn't need to.
That's
go any
why
heavier.
the original loads were 55 grain, and then when they went to the heavier twist, they went to 62 grain.
Yeah. So if you're looking for velocity, get a 20-inch barrel. I have seen documentation of different lengths of barrel with 5.56 in mind, and they have just yes, all IRs are 1 in 7 according to Elixir, and they were chopping the barrel down inch by inch and measuring the velocities and making sure that it had a nice crown every single time. And they just found it that they were spot on. Yeah, the people that designed the 5.56 round and the M16 were dead right. The best velocities with the least amount of disadvantages were exactly at 20 inches with those 55 grain loads. So that if that's something that you care about, that you're planning to factor into what barrel you're gonna get. If you're going with 5.56 barrels, you want to have the max velocity. Get a 20-inch barrel. If you're gonna push heavy slugs through it, get a 1 in 7. If you don't care about that sort of thing, 1 in 9. If you're just gonna shoot 55 grain shit, 1 in 12. We're not experts, but that's what documentation kind of talks about.
Yeah, most people will go for like anything from a 1 to 7 to a 1 to 9, and those are all pretty good. Mine's a 1 to 8, but I could care less if it was a 1 to 7 or a 1 to 9 for the kind of shooting I do. Let's keep pushing through here. Optic selection. So what kind of optic do you guys have, and why do you have it? Let's do a real quick, just lightning round. Janitor, do you want to start?
Sure. Vortex Strike Eagle 1 to 6. I like it for 3-gun because at 1 power it acts as a red dot, and if I need more, I can crank it up to 6. Plain and simple.
You also have a red dot on the other one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crover?
It started out with a red dot because I was of the same thought. I just wanted something fun to shoot. It had backup sights, and those backup sights went, and so did the red dot. Then when the 104 AR-223 scope, that was more like 1.25, right, Adriel? You played with that same scope and you found that it wasn't the true 1-4.
Very few of them are. Very few 1-4 scopes are true 1 times.
And I liked that scope. It was great, but I ended up wanting to be able to see the groups clearly at 100 yards. So I went with this. Totally on the other different end of the spectrum. This is a Nikon ProStaff 7, 4 to 16. So I got lots of magnification, but with a 50 millimeter objective lens, and it has a ballistic drop reticle calibrated for 50 something. There's a ballistic calculator in the Nikon website that lets you put in your load, and it will tell you what the holdovers are on this reticle for this scope.
Sweet. Crazy?
So I got the Nikon Monarch, Nikon M223 with the M223 mount here. I bought this instead of something closer range on the recommendation actually of Crover, who said that the IUR is too accurate for a close quarter optic. Basically, at this point, I've sighted it in more or less. Haven't really done too much shooting with it. Literally, I've fired a grand total of like 160 rounds out of this gun so far. So now that I got my own membership, whatever, gun club, shoot more of it. But I still am kind of on the fence now as to whether or not I need this or something with less zoom to it, just because I have a bolt action 223 with a 4 to 16 on it. That kind of this accomplishes the same thing that does at this point.
This is my bolt action.
Sweet. I've got a 1 to 6 primary arms ACS on a Burris Pepper mount.
Same mount.
Same mount?
Yeah.
It's great mount, inexpensive, but not like Chinese Norinco, or no, not Norinco, but eBay.
You have the rails on top of your rings? Because I got rails on my rings.
I don't use them. I'm not that tactical.
I am still putting a red dot on mine.
Yeah, this is some of your scopes will be like a first focal plane. Some of them will be second focal plane. This is a second focal plane, which I think is fine. So it just means that reticle stays the same size throughout the zoom. Whereas with a first focal plane, it changes sizes. That matters if I wanted to shoot distance with 1 times on this one, it would be kind of hard because those hash marks aren't at the right spot. So So I need to zoom in right to 1 to 6 for those hash marks to be used. But like I care, because if I'm shooting long distance, I'm gonna crank this thing over to 6 anyways. For 3-gun, a 1 to 4 or 1 to 6 is where you want to go, because it gives you that flexibility to shoot long range. Muzzle device. I've got one from oh boy, he was on the show.
Spectre Ballistics.
There we go.
Feldspar.
Jeez, that's terrible. One of their hex breaks. I'm not. I swear I'm not like pitching his company because I know him or shilling, but I love this break. I've got what did I have on this thing before? I've had some other breaks on here, but this is nice and compact. One of the things we do with 3-gun is jam the barrel through barriers to shoot through the barrier and stuff. This guy's nice and small, and it's also short as well. So I had a Michelek break on this thing before, and the Michelek break was like 3/4 of an inch longer, so quite a bit more compact with comparable performance. So super fucking loud though. You don't want to be shooting this thing at the range and enjoying it, because like any kind of like big break like this on an AR, and it's really loud, even with air protection on. Crover?
Guess I'm answering for Crazy and I again. It's just according to Terror Hunter, this is just the standard C9 flash hider. That's all that there is on the front of these guys. You can swap them out and put whatever break you want on these barrels. As far as I know, it's still got the whatever the hell is pitch thread that most barrels have.
Half by 28, I think.
Yeah, half by 28.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to, and I have thought about it, I would put a Lantec Dragon on it, just so that I'd be an obnoxious asshole at the range with a super fucking loud muzzle brake on it.
Just get an SPT 40.
No, just get Eric's 338 Lapua and go to the range.
No, hold on. If you send me a muzzle brake, I'll make it into a loudener.
Isn't that the point of the muzzle brake? Isn't it?
Yeah, but this one makes it even louder.
That's good. That's what I want. I want this thing to be annoying. It's like, oh, here I am with my 30-06. I'm going to sight it in and shoot 3 rounds in the next 20 minutes and disrupt everyone. Well, fuck you. Mag dumps for days, son.
So then what you got to do is you got to get a 7.5-inch barrel and then put a loudener on it.
Also,
the surprising thing with going with a real short barrel is they don't burn all the powder in there anyways, and it ends up being more of a woof than a really sharp sound on it. Like a 10-inch is you're still burning a little bit of powder, but those 13s are really loud, especially when you're on a break on them. And they're a little bit sharper on the sound.
So you want like an M16 clone with a Lantec Dragon on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Janitor, what are you running for muzzle devices there?
Oh, we talked already. Flaming Pig on this sucker. It's designed to help, like I say, linear compensation, but they claim on a shorter rifle it's supposed to help it cycle a little bit better too from back pressure. I think it's cool. It has a pig shooting fire on it, and I like the noise it makes. My other AR is just running an A2 bird cage. I've thought about putting something on there, but I don't notice much muzzle rise with it anyways. So someday, but nice muzzle brakes are expensive.
Yeah, the A2's fine. We got a couple questions from the sub here. Build versus buy. How much money can you save by building it from parts yourself? What do you guys see as the tipping point? Familiarity with tools. Can YouTube teach you all you need to know?
Yes to the last question. Everything you want to know is on YouTube, pretty much.
Yes. Yeah.
There's, I know veteran, Iraq veteran 8888 has been doing as of late, like within the last 2 or 3 months, they've put out a couple of videos that are exclusively how to put your AR together. And they are like 45 to an hour long, and they tell you everything.
Man,
everything
for 45 to an hour, you can put the whole fucking thing together.
Yeah, if you literally start the video and do it with them, you will get a rifle built. Now, when I bought my AR, I thought, I'm going to buy a nice AR that I don't need to upgrade. Boy, was I fucking clearly wrong. I mean, at this point, the only thing that's original on this is the lower, the trigger, and the bolt. That's it. Everything else is different. So, how much money do you save? I don't know. Does anybody have a number? Because I don't want to think about that number.
He's asking, I think his question was, do you save money when building an AR? And the answer is no.
No.
You don't.
Well, you can.
You-
Edward from TV Press Pass bought a bunch of stuff off CGN, and he's built some real cheap ARs for the price. But you can't beat like a Nork AR.
No.
Well, actually, the Norks are expensive now. There's been a couple of American companies that are selling for about the same price now. I've seen them on sale for $600-700.
Weren't there a couple of Smith & Wesson rifles on sale a couple of weeks ago for dirt cheap?
Yeah. Frontier Firearms had something on sale. Smith & Wessons. Yeah.
Yeah, that they beat the price of the Norinkos. So they had a U.S. built AR-15 for less than a Chinese built AR-15.
The Chinese ARs were good when they were $500-600.
No, $499. $499.
Yeah,
like I said, 5 6. But yeah, nowadays they're not worth it anymore. You can get an American AR on sale for the same price as a Chinese one. So unless you find a Chinese one on sale, don't bother.
Now we're not just bashing it because they're Chinese ARs. There is documentation that shows that while they have, in the spirit of the design, maintained some of the dimensions and whatnot, every once in a while you try to put on something that's supposedly supposed to fit on those Chinese ARs that don't. So
well, I found out the forend will be tight. If you try to, like, my buddy tried throwing one of those MOE foreends on his Nork, and it definitely, we had to shape it to fit, but everything else fit on it.
I can say from my experience, it fits uppers. The lower is to spec. I got my IUR to fit on its lower. It fits. The bolt from that gun will fit in other things. The bolt from that fit in my IUR was a bit tight, a bit rough, but it fit, and it cycled, and it worked. The DA556 in particular, the old Canada ammo imports with a quad rail built into it, that quad rail is like not removable. I don't really know how you would take that quad rail off. It's not like a two-piece thing that comes apart like most AR stocks.
Grinder works for everything.
a Dremel, buddy.
I think in order to take it off, you actually have to remove the entire barrel assembly from the upper and take it off the back. I think that's the only way to get it off. But other than that, like my dad's one, it comes apart like a normal AR stock. So they look like they should be compatible with just about anything. They're built to commercial spec, not to mil spec, actually, which only really matters for stocks and buffer tubes. But yeah, in my experience with the Chinese ARs, they're actually completely in spec and completely cross-compatible.
Right.
Yeah. Now, like, if you were to do it today, though, you'd build, right? Crover, would you build?
Yeah. One thing that everybody keeps talking about is the play between the upper and the lower. I don't know if it just got lucky, but this cold U.S. lower fits on this cold Canada upper like a dream. There's absolutely no play, so that'd be like the one thing that I'd look for, is making sure that maybe get the same upper and lower from the same company. Hopefully their shit matches nicely.
One. Yeah.
Other than that, fuck yeah, build it. Build it. There is absolutely no reason why, unless you want the thing delivered to your door, built. Put it together, man.
Well, because you like. Here's my argument. Oh, so I agree. I like if I could redo it today, I would build, but I had to get there first. I had to have an AR to know what I wanted in an AR.
Yeah.
I don't know that you know, back then I would have built the same rifle as I have today, and you know, I think I had to buy some of the parts to get here.
So how about this? Get your buddy that made the mistake of buying the complete rifle off the bat. Play with his rifle, find out what you like on the rifles, and then build your own.
There we go.
Well, it depends on how much he lets you play with it.
Yeah.
Well, that, or though, even if you go to, say, our club's 3-gun matches and there's 40 guys there, there's 40 different configurations. Nobody's the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Mine sticks out the most.
Yep.
Anyways, I think that's the build versus size or builds for under 1K.
You're not going to build for under 1K unless you buy used looking on CGN. Under 1K, you're looking at buying a fully built rifle pretty much.
Yeah.
My Colt M4 I bought for 1K. And it was used 300 rounds down the pipe. It was a good deal. Those guys go for 1,300.
My Chinese AR was $500.
Sweet. I think I Run Guns has a bunch of bargain US made ARs that they have for sale that are right around 500 US. So what is that Canadian? $700?
So,
so, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you want to get something American, I Run Guns has a crap ton of those. You were mentioning Frontier Firearms. There's lots out there.
Yeah, you could wait for a sale. You're gonna buy. You could buy everything on sale. You could wait for Canada Ammo to do the Christmas sale, Easter sale, any of the other shops that do sales. You're gonna get bargains. 30, 20, 40, 50% off maybe. And
Nothing on
that's
this gun was full price.
That's it.
There we go. What about $1,000 to $1,500?
You can buy complete guns for that are already not race guns, but pretty good guns.
You could probably get
Take the optic off this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take the optic off this. It was 15 with the optic on. I think I'm about 1,900 into it.
Oh, don't ever add it up, man. Don't ever add it up.
That's such a terrible idea.
Like I said, that's why I didn't take a vacation this year. Is all my vacation money went into this. But still, if I hadn't gotten everything on sale, this gun would be 2,500 or more.
I think that's about where this is at now, and that's without sales.
Yep. Well, I think we've covered the AR-15 topic pretty well.
Pterodactyl Hunter wanted to touch on buffers.
What are you guys running? I'm running a H1 in mine.
I think I got an H1 too.
So there's
basically, as far as I understand, you gotta get 3 o'clock ejection. That's it. If you're sending the brass at the 3 o'clock line, you got the ejection where it should be.
Well, so the you can tune your buffer, right? So the entire system on an AR-15, there's no adjustment on the gas. So if you've got too much gas, what's going to happen is you're going to rack that bolt and bolt assembly back a little bit faster than you need to, and that'll add to the overall recoil is going to be the same, but it'll add to the felt recoil because it's going to be a little bit snappier and a little bit more herky-jerky kind of thing as it's coming back. So like this is all so they say kind of a thing. So some guys will run a heavier buffer on their rifle especially when they're running a carbine length gas system on a longer barrel, because that gases it quite a bit. So they'll run a heavier buffer to reduce the speed of the entire system, so it's not cracking back so quickly.
Yeah,
so
this 10.5 inch. This 10.5 inch, I run an H2 in it for that exact reason. It's got the carbine lengths. I had an H1 in it, and it felt like it was just beating it up a little. So I put in an H2. It felt pretty good. Then I put in an H3 just to try it, and it wouldn't go far enough back to strip the next round. So H2 is ideal for this gun.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the way you'd have to test it, right? So either get one of the adjustable weight buffers or get a couple of extra ones.
I have no idea what weight my buffer is. I got whatever one True North Arms said. This is the most common. I bought
H1.
that. Yeah, so it's probably
H1 or a standard, and then you run a different buffer in the A2 rifle one.
Yeah, it's a big. Actually, if I can get the fucking buffer out, you'll see it's a pretty fucking long buffer compared to the carbine length one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you want to wrap it up, I'll try and get that thing out, Adriel.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Let's go to the after show.
Motherfucker! Thank you for coming, everybody. Ow, 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 ow. Fucking buffer. Is that the trigger? The trigger's in the way. Ow!
Bye, everybody.
Trevor has said there's no time for the milsurp of the week, so next week will be
there's the buffer.
the Browning High Power. That was supposed to be
Next
this
week.
week.
Look at the size of it. It's like a small metal dildo.
Yes,
That's
it
the
is.
A2 buffer, everybody. Good night. See you next week.
Bye-bye.